About Ukraine. I'm joined in the studio by International Affairs Editor Angela Diffley. Angela, good to have you as ever. Walk us through, if you will, the strategic importance of Pokrovsk and why there are so many battles around this city.
So as we heard, there are about 60,000 people living there before so many of them fled. It's a mining town, and most importantly, it could be used as a staging post for going further into Donetsk. I think we have a map which we might show. It is a logistics hub that would allow the Russians to go further and further in. So far, the Russians control about 81% of Donetsk and about 99% of Luhansk. And those two regions make up the region of Donbas. And Russia basically would like to control all of Donbas so that that could be a condition of any ceasefire. It's made very little secret of the fact that it intends to try to hold on to Donbas, to control all of it, and then to hold on to it and to make that a condition of any ceasefire deal. That is why it's so important. As to what is happening now, obviously we can't tell from here. There are claims and counterclaims. The Russians are saying we now have entirely surrounded the town and that Ukrainian forces should surrender. Zelensky said that they have sent reinforcements, that is not the case. There are videos circulating online, we can't verify them, of street battles, of drones being used. Clearly, it is the centre of some very serious fighting, but we can't at this stage know exactly what's happening in that area so far. There are Ukrainian analysts who feel that too much is being put under play in trying to defend Pokrovsk. They say it simply isn't worth the manpower and the resources that it is taking up to try to hold on to that city. But that is the strategy for the moment for the Ukrainians.
Well, look, this war has been raging on for more than 3.5 years now. What about the general situation on the ground? What more do we know at this stage?
Yeah, the Russians' strategy at the moment appears very much designed around targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure ahead of the winter. The Ukrainians also are trying to target industrial sites in Russia, notably a petrochemical site on Monday. But, it's an uneven match there. The Russians are trying to make a situation so that people in the east of Ukraine will have to flee to the west so that they might overwhelm Ukraine's air defense systems with this constant barraging of quite cheap drones, but that have to be rebuffed using expensive air defense equipment. So they're trying to push the population out, and they're trying to overwhelm the air defense system. And they're also, of course, forcing Ukraine to import gas, to spend more money on that ahead of the winter. And, meanwhile, in terms of, you say, 3.5 years, when is all of this going to end? We're in one of those periods of the war where nothing appears to be happening. It does look very much, it's very difficult again and again trying to decipher Donald Trump's moves. It's hard to read his mind, very difficult to read his moves, but he does appear to be easily manipulated by Vladimir Putin. And it looks very much that Donald Trump, with this war, sees it very much in some ways as Ukraine cannot win this war, and the sooner it's over, the better. It was very interesting, the Financial Times reporting at that last meeting that they had when Trump apparently threw maps around the room and said, look, I'm really tired of looking at your maps of front lines. For Trump, it's all irrelevant. It's far away cities, and the Ukrainians ultimately are going to have to cede, appears to be his thinking. And so that is where we are at the moment. Meanwhile, the Europeans trying to provide more long-range missiles, trying to up the funding, but that funding issue of using frozen Russian assets, we've been talking about it for so long, it is still blocked in legal issues that Belgium is worried about, still hasn't happened yet. European aid is so slow, both in terms of finance and weapons, but it is important to Europe. The only time Trump ever seems to take it very seriously is when he has persuaded temporarily often that Russian power needs to be tamed for the sake of the United States. But he isn't often convinced of that. For the moment, we're at one of those stalemate situations.